You're late, Cassidy. We're watching you. I'm sure it's noon somewhere. Okay, now it's noon here in Ontario. Looking for any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll start right ahead into the, go, I guess, to, yes, I have a, sorry. I actually have a pecuniary interest on the staff report on the last 3 monument agreements as I'm employed by Canadian Forces, so I'll probably ask Councillor Usher to chair at that time. So consent item number 2, Councillor Armstrong.
If there's no discussion, and if there's no need to go in camera because we have the report, unless members of the committee want to go in camera, I'm prepared to move the staff recommendation, or that we reduce the number if it's not.
So moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by, Councillor Cassidy, go ahead.
I just want to make sure, through you, Mr. Chair, that the staff recommendation is just to receive. So if the councillor wants to do more, then I think he has to add to that.
Yes, to reduce the number of licenses, and I'll ask staff to explain exactly how we go about that, the process, and whatever that is, I'm prepared to move that.
Mr. Katolik?
Through the chair, if that was the direction of council, they should indicate, or committee, the committee report should indicate that in the report to council. I should add that in between the writing of this report and today, the applicant has appealed the decision of the license manager to the hearings officer, so the matter is before the hearings officer at this point. In all fairness, and in terms of good faith, we should wait for the decision of the hearings officer before making a decision on this location.
Okay, so yeah, as I understand, the application's been declined. We have to wait for the hearings officer to deal with it, so staff is recommending that we wait until the outcome of that action. And so I guess all we can do is receive it today. There's no other, that's what staff's recommending. And then at a further date, then I guess we'll deal with the issue further. So I guess we have no choice but to receive it today, pending the outcome of the appeal. So I'll move receipt.
Councillor Cassidy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a suggestion. I don't know, it's up to the committee if they want to take it. What if we don't make a decision on number 2, although it seems clear what we have to do, but go through the rest of the agenda, and I think we should go in camera and hear the report that's on the confidential agenda, and then come back and deal with number 2 after that time. Does that make sense?
So if you want to move that, I'll look for a seconder, because I'm seeing some people shaking their heads.
I won't support that.
No. Yeah. I'll move it if somebody wants to second it.
So just to make it clear, so it's been moved by Councillor Cassidy to defer that item until we go in camera. Look for a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Usher, and so we'll get a motion up on the screen. And any discussion? Councillor Squire?
I can't support that. There's 2 distinct things going on here. One has to do with a license with regard to a body rub parlor, and there are other matters which I understand pertain to something else. I'm going to stick to what the proper legal process is and give these people a chance to have their appeal, have it heard, and then we can deal with the matter.
Any other speakers? Councillor Cassidy?
Thank you. I'm not suggesting we do anything other than what Councillor Squires is suggesting. I just think I would like to have all the information and then deal with it. That's all.
Seeing no further speakers, we'll call the question. Councillor Usher, if you want to second it still. And we're voting.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 4-1.
So we'll deal with that matter when we come back from in camera, but right now we'll go to items for direction. I'll ask Councillor Usher to chair the meeting because I have a pecuniary interest on this one. It's the LAV3 monument agreements.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to chair this portion of the meeting from my seat here. And we're dealing with item number 3, the LAV3 monument agreement. It's open for discussion. Do I have any speakers or any motions? Councillor Cassidy.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. I'll be happy to move this staff recommendation. I think this is, we talked about this, a while back, but I think this is a perfect fit for all of the reasons outlined in the staff report. And then especially for the fact that we lost Trooper Mark Wilson in the Afghanistan conflict, and the fact that his family reside in London and are active in the community. I think the location at the Royal Canadian Regiment Museum is also a very good fit as well. So thanks.
Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, I too support the staff, or support moving ahead with this. I think, yes, there's the history there to do with the Wilson family. Also that vehicles were manufactured and it still are in London, and I think that's important. We must not forget there are other Londoners, many Londoners who served in Afghanistan, and this is a tribute to all of those as well who made a contribution in that struggle in Afghanistan. So I support this motion.
Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Usher. I'm very pleased to second this. I think that this is part of our London legacy, and also, as Councillor Cassidy pointed out, an excellent opportunity for us to come together as a community and recognize the sacrifice of so many Canadians, including Trooper Mark Wilson. And I had an opportunity to speak with some members of Trooper Wilson's family over the weekend, and just highlighted that this report was coming forward, and they are extremely touched by this opportunity that's before us, and they've asked to come to council so they can watch us as we deal with this by way of assuming that this recommendation goes through committee, and I'm confident that it will, so that they can be a part of that decision as well. And I think that this is a very fitting way to remember those Canadians who have sacrificed so much, and in some cases paid the ultimate sacrifice. I also want to say, just while I have the mic, the other conversation that I had with the Wilson family was about the unfortunate mistake that was made with regard to the cenotaph, and I assured them that the 2010 would be changed to 2001 very quickly. They were very understanding that sometimes mistakes happen, but I felt it was important for me to call and just express my sincere apologies that a mistake like that could happen. And again, we all know the Wilson family. They were very gracious, but appreciated the call and appreciate that people are making this a significant priority to correct that error.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Van Holst.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, for recognizing me. Just had a question to you, through you to the staff. We authorized $100,000 for this monument, but it seems to be coming out to less than that with, so I'm just wondering what the total price seems to be.
Before staff respond to that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask staff if they would kindly give us an overall of this, the location, for the purpose of the audience who might be listening, because they may not have an agenda. And then in the process of that, respond to Councilor Van Holt's question. That is, who is putting it, where this is going, et cetera, et cetera.
Certainly. So through the chair, I can speak to the price point, and then perhaps Robin, who's been negotiating the location, the logistics, and associated programming, can speak a little bit more about that. So the authorization budget-wise was for up to $100,000. As always, we're very pleased when it comes under that amount. And so the remainder would stay within the Public Art Reserve Fund to be used to continue to invest in existing public art pieces. At the present moment, we're coming in around half. I think we're around 55,000. So the remainder, again, would stay in the reserve fund.
And through you, Mr. Chair, the location of the Lab 3 will be within the RCR display grounds outside of the RCR Museum. It is the pad, we've had it assessed, that was the existing pad where their original monument was, is not sufficient for the weight of the Lab 3, so a new pad will have to be poured. And we will be looking for interpretive signage, both the interpretive signage that we need to have with the Lab 3 program and possibly a more personal Lab 3 story.
And Ms. Armstead, Lab 3, is that big a name for this? Because people are going to start passing there along Oxford Street and they're going to see this. And they will not relate it to the city and so on. So this machine was originally made, part of it in London. Why is it we're having this discussion for it to be there? I'd like the public to recognize that.
The reason why the Lab 3 is particularly significant to the City of London is because General Dynamics is the company, so this is an economic development spin that creates the Labs 3, and the company Militex has been involved in creating the Lab 3 monuments, which is through Canada Company. These monuments are being brought to communities across Canada, and it is also the Fanshawe College students who are doing the welding for Militex. So it is a London success story, and also that the RCR Museum is a significant museum for war history and peacekeeping, and they felt that the Lab 3 was very significant to tell the London story as well as the military history.
Thank you. Councilor Van Holst, do you have anything else?
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Councilor Helmer.
Thank you. A couple of quick points. One, I'm glad to see this coming to Ward 4 in the Wolseley Barracks. I think it's a great spot near the RCR Museum to have them there to manage the interpretation and to help communicate the history of the vehicle. I think will be very helpful. I know that it's sort of well known, I think, that the light armor vehicles have been used in Afghanistan, but they've also been used in UN missions in Bosnia and Kosovo, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and it's got a pretty distinguished service record all over the world in different kinds of military conflicts and peacekeeping situations. I did note there were a couple little mistakes in the report. I just want to point that out. I mentioned those to staff, and I think they'll be fixed between now and council, just in the contract itself with the DND.
Okay. So we have a motion that's been moved and seconded. Let's vote.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 5-0 with 1 recused.
Thank you. I return control to our chair.
Thank you, Counselor Usher. So just for anyone's following at home, so my vote, I didn't log out, so it was just shows up an error, but I did recuse from that last vote. So I'm looking to committee for deferred matters list. I'll look for a motion. Counselor Armstrong?
Yes, I just wanted to sort of ask, about the issue of the Vimy Ridge Park and where we are on that issue. Main reason being, I had a call regarding whether or not we would be doing further work on that park. There's no access by car. There's no parking lot, and so it makes it difficult for people. It's impossible to get in there, and so I'm just wondering, have we looked at the issue of compliance? Because I know at some point we will be dealing with this issue, but accessibility is an issue there. So I'm just wondering if our staff, where we are with that particular issue.
Through the chair, so this process will certainly be coming back to council. It's being led out of Parks Planning, but my understanding is that a community consultation and review process is underway, and it'll be coming back.
I'm not sure if now's the time I wanted to raise another issue.
So once we finish with deferred matters, you're talking about additional business?
Yeah.
Yep, so once we finish this, then we can come back to you, Counselor. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further speakers? And we're voting.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 6-0.
So I'll go to Counselor Armstrong for additional business and looking for any other members.
Just wanted to raise the issue of the other license to do with 2190 Dundas Street, and I was wondering if staff could give us an update on that particular application for starters. Thank you.
Through the chair, the application for the adult live entertainment at 2190 Dundas is in process. We did an inspection with our enforcement partners on Friday with health unit, fire prevention, property standards. The reports are being received shortly, and we will be making a decision shortly on that application.
So if I could understand, perhaps through you to staff, the process, a decision is being made. If it's a yes, what happens? If it's a no, if we could sort of, so the public has a very good understanding of exactly what process we're in now and what council, this committee and council's involvement would be based on either decision.
I see legal had their hand up, so I'll go to them first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to remind the committee that the council, through its bylaw, has delegated the authority to the license manager, who is Mr. Katolik, to process applications under the business licensing bylaw. That includes reviewing them to determine whether or not they're compliant, and then to take any of the appropriate quasi-judicial actions, which might include granting the application, refusing the application, granting the application with conditions. So that's entirely within Mr. Katolik's hands. He exercises his discretion in that regard in accordance with the bylaw. And I think at this point, the process is he's following their standard process. They're reviewing the application. He's indicated he's conducted the inspections, and it'll be up to him upon his review then to make the appropriate decision. This council does not make those decisions. As you know, it's been delegated to the license manager. And I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
So it's very clear at this point, council, it's sort of out of council's hands. It's in the hands of administration. And so there is no further action we can take at this time. If that's where it's left, then I think that's clear.
Thank you, Councilor Armstrong. Any other speakers? Councillor Usher?
I don't know if staff can help me, but maybe I'm a little confused here because a few years ago, I thought that we had reduced the number of these type of businesses. Maybe it's not Body Rub Paula, maybe it was something else, to 5. And we had gone, I thought that we had gone down from 7 to 6 to 5. And we had said at the time that if any of these locations should go out of business, that we would not take on another application, we would reduce it to 4. Can you recall that in any way or help me understand what that was? Because we are talking about Body Rub Paula, and maybe at that time we were talking about something else. Through you, Mr. Chair.
Through the chair, we reduced the number of adult live entertainment parlors. Legends, which was located on Piccadilly Street. There was a report that we reported on to committee, and then council reduced that. There was another location on Dundas Street, Royal Lancasters. Our recommendation was to reduce that, but that was not the decision of council. And that's specific to adult live entertainment, not body rub parlors.
So what I was referring to and what I recall was probably the live entertainment, which is different from the body rub. And if so, can a body rub parlor automatically work itself into becoming a live entertainment unknowing to you?
Through the chair, no. That would be a separate application. There's a distinction between adult live entertainment and body rub parlors in the bylaw. The part about this location is that we have one address with 2 applications, one for body rub, one for live entertainment. So perhaps that may be the confusing part to the public, because as it's being reported in the media, sometimes the 2 classifications change in terms of describing the uses.
So just for clarity, this application has absolutely nothing to do with live entertainment. This is strictly for body rub, even though it's the same address that we talked about a couple of years ago. Am I right?
The report before you today is with respect to a body rub parlor, not a adult live entertainment parlor. And it's specific in terms of providing the facts. The only additional piece that is that the decision of the license manager has been appealed to the hearings officer, and we have to allow that process to finalize.
Oh, sorry. I respect everything you said, and I appreciate that. So I just want to have this for clarity. Is it possible that a live body rub parlor could automatically, without you knowing, work itself into being a live entertainment business? Which we only allow 5 of those, but we allow more of the body rub parlor. I just want to know how do you police that, for example, to make sure that it doesn't work itself into that?
Through the chair, we work with our partners at London Police Services, and I can guarantee that if a live entertainment parlor started performing the services of a body rub parlor, we would hear about it.
Councillor Armstrong?
Just want to be clear on process, because at our last committee meeting, we had discussed or heard that there might be a requirement for an advertisement regarding live entertainment and the application at the 2190. I just want to be clear whether or not, you know, what we heard that, and council in any event, if we could hear a little bit more about that issue from our staff, because I think people in the community sort of were thinking that that advertisement might have, should have happened, or if it didn't, why not? That sort of, if we could just have a little more clarification on that from staff.
See Leo's hand up again.
Thank you. And I would just like some clarification at this point. Mr. Katolik has a report in his capacity as a license manager on this agenda. It deals with a body rub parlor. I believe the question that has been raised by the councillor deals with an adult entertainment live parlor at the same property. I just want to note, is that raised as other business, or where are we? Because there is no report before the committee, and I just want to be clear on that before I answer the question. Oh.
That was under other business, and I'm assuming I can pursue questions under other business. If not, let me know and I'll stop.
So I confer with that, and I see the clerk nodding, so I'll go back to you.
Thank you. So in respect to a live adult entertainment parlor, I believe Mr. Katolik has answered Councillor Usher's questions. And the process, as we indicated at the last meeting, if council wants to amend the bylaw, there is a process that requires a public notice in compliance with the city's public notice policy that requires advertisement on the website, as well as an advertisement in the newspaper of general circulation, which is left to the discretion of the clerk. And that is how that is handled. So a public notice of the meeting has to be held. It's up to the council at the time when the meeting is held whether or not they want to receive delegations or how they want to conduct that meeting.
Is it through you to any staff, is it possible for us to proceed with that process now?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd be pleased to give you that advice in closed session again, as I did the last time.
Just to confirm, Councillor Armstrong, if you wanted to get that portion, you'd have to add an additional in-camera reason.
If that could be done, I'm not sure the wording.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. Just make sure there's any additional speakers. Councillor Armstrong? Sorry, Councillor Squire?
You'll have to turn on.
Oh, sorry.
With all due respect, and through you, Mr. Chair, I think staff has been abundantly clear on this issue, presented very clear answers when proper questions have been asked, but it seems to me, and I say this with the utmost respect, that we're mixing terms, we're trying to apply rules between two different entities, and if councillors think they're clarifying for the public by their questions, I want to say the only way I can maintain clarity in this and understand the process is to ignore what my colleagues are asking and saying. And that's with the utmost respect.
Thank you, Councillor Squire. Any other speakers? All right, so Councillor Armstrong, did you still want to add an additional reason to go in camera?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll get that up on the screen very shortly. Sorry, 1 sec. I see a legal hand. Go ahead.
Thank you. Unless I've misunderstood the question, I understand the C1 is in relation to the body rub parlor, but if you're adding a C2, that would be with respect to adult live entertainment parlor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure the clerks heard that. And just for everyone, for colleagues, we'll separate the two so you can decide accordingly how you want to vote. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cassidy, my mistake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to Councillor Armstrong, I'm going to vote against the additional reason for going in camera. I think, and judging from what our legal counsel has said, we're just going to receive the same information that we've already received, and I don't think we need to do that, and especially when Mr. Katolik has told us that he's going to be bringing a report back to us at some point in the future, so I will be voting against the additional reason. Thanks.
Councillor Usher?
Well, just for clarity and to save time, I just want you to know I'll vote against it also. So I'm not so sure that we're not taking a lot of time unnecessarily here. I'm not even sure we're going to get a seconder for this, so can we feel it to see if we have a seconder?
Sure, so we have, it's been moved, and I'll just look to committee and see if there's anyone who's interested in seconding it. Seeing none, so we'll just, apologies to the clerk, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll just go just to the original motion. So now we're just putting up the original that was on the agenda for the in-camera reason, for the reasons stated, matter pertaining to litigations or potential litigation, and directions and instructions to officers and employees or agents of the municipality regarding adult entertainment body rub parlor located at 2190 Dundas Street, just to clarify. So we'll wait for that to go on screen, and we'll get a mover and seconder, and we'll head on into there. And for members of the public, we'll come back after we complete our in-camera, because we have to dispense of item number 2. So it's up, and look for, moved by Councilor Armstrong, seconded by Mr. Mayor Brown, and we'll call the question.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 5-1.
All right, committee room 3. And again, for members of the public, we'll be back in this room to finish item number 2. Perfect. Counselor Cassidy. Sure. Would you like to report progress?
Sure. I'll take this opportunity to report progress on the matter that we went in camera for that's on the public agenda. And then I would like to move receipt of the staff report of item number 2.
Moved by Counselor Cassidy, seconded by Counselor Usher. Any discussion? And we'll call the question. And we're voting.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 6-0.
Look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Cassidy, seconded by Counselor Usher. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Good night or good afternoon. The pizza is free.